Okay, we can remove the meter from this camera. This is an early Reflex S. You can see the arrangement of the pulley here, which is spring loaded. There's the spring, and that's to keep tension on the cords. This is an early one. That was an arrangement they did away with fairly shortly. I'll show you what it looks like on the more commonly found models. More commonly you have this arrangement where the pulley is on an arm and the arm is pivoted and there's a strong spring that keeps that under tension. Now, this is the more common arrangement. This is most likely what you'll find. That'll explain why there was only 2 washers over here underneath the front. That's because it's an early model. Right. Well, what we can do is we can remove the meter from here. So all I'm going to do here is just pry up on that to release the tension, lift the pulley straight off its post, uncoil the cord. Now the cord is just has a little knot on it on the ends, and the knots are trapped in the slots in the drum, one at the top and one at the bottom. Right, now we can lift the meter completely away. Those cords should come straight out. That little piece of felt that you saw pop out there, that's a little dust trap that sits in here. It's a 2-piece arrangement. Often it's missing. It's not important. Take that loose piece off. The meter we'll put to one side. That cord's good. We'll just put that straight back on. There's the meter drum. That'll get cleaned. I'll put that in the cleaner, mostly because I'm interested in getting out any rubbish that's in the teeth of the gear there. Right, so there's the camera without the meter, which of course exposes the winding mechanism. And we can remove the loose pieces from the top. That is the film release lever and its spring. Here we have the shutter release shaft and its return spring. Now the 2 springs are quite different in length. So the short one goes on the shutter release button and the longer one goes on the film release button. Right, we can start stripping down the top of the camera. Might as well start with the rewind end. I'm going to take these 2 screws out which hold on that bracket. Now the screws in cameras, these are nice and tight, but that's relatively unusual. It's much more common to find the screws are actually loose. And normally loose screws in something like this is put down to one of 2 probable reasons. One is that the camera had been subjected to a lot of vibration, and normally you'd be looking for things like that had spent all its life in the glove box of the car. Or it might be because the camera had been subjected to a lot of temperature changes. Say it had been sitting somewhere in an unheated room in the sun, and so it was heating up very hot during the day and cooling down very cool at night, and the temperature changes will have allowed lots of expansion and contraction. Right, I'm taking off this hold down bracket. This holds down the rack at the back. It's got a little roller built into it. It's all one piece. That's riveted together. That won't come apart. Now the film, the strap bracket at this end holds down the rack at this end too. So I'm going to turn that over and just check to make sure there's no washers or anything. Sometimes you'll find washers under there. There's nothing. That's all good. Those washers will be shims, and they're there to give a little bit of clearance to help the rack run backwards and forwards smoothly. The rack should just lift out, and it does. We'll inspect the teeth on that later. That little spacer, unlike those other black washers, this is quite thick and it's probably quite hard. That acts as a bush which holds that rack in firm contact with the gear at that point. Stops it from being able to push aside, which means that the teeth last considerably better than they might otherwise do. Right, that top cover plate can come off now, and the top is starting to get fairly well stripped down. That screw can come off. I'm just going to put the scalpel blade through the slot at the top there because I don't have a screwdriver wide enough on hand, and loosen that off, and that comes off. And now we start to get in a little bit deeper, and I'll go through the stripping down of the film advance.